All right, welcome back. Today we're trying something different in terms of format, and just gonna see how well things play out. And not gonna have chat, just have a screen. So we're gonna deal with that. We're gonna talk today about Jhoira. I've had Jhoira since its inception, since its creation in pre-release. Somebody had this exact card, and I met them and I asked for a trade, and I was willing to trade most of my pile, and they were willing as well. And I picked up Jhoira. I found it fascinating that you could cast artifacts and draw a card, and I thought that was really powerful because in eternal formats, you have a lot of artifacts in the form of mana, and by being able to play them and draw a card, I thought at the time that that was probably one of the most powerful things that a commander could do. And maybe in retrospect in 2018 it was mostly right. And so we're still working on the Jhoira deck. It has seen a lot of changes. I used to play Egg Jhoira, which has a lot of 0 artifact. In order to trigger Jhoira, draw cards, kind of filter through your deck until you find mostly a bounce spell, right? In the form of retract or etc. But that was a little boring for me and for other players, because that's all I was doing for like 5 minutes, kind of. It was decent at providing you a win. You could even get a turn 1 win, but against more experienced players and cEDH players who have access to incredible amounts of counters, you're playing against 3 players. That's not viable. It's not viable. It might be viable game 1 and then never again. Because if we think about, because I used to play Legacy against combo decks, Sneak and Show and things like that. I used to play Grixis, and Sneak and Show could win game 1 no problem, because you don't know what they play, because you don't see their commander in Legacy, so it's always a surprise. And then they start, boom, let's go Sneak and Show, and then you're not ready, right? But that's over after that, because you have your Force of Wills, you have your Daze, maybe your Spell Pierce, your other things. And so and that's 1-on-1, right? So now the question is, combo and commander, how feasible is that? Which was a discussion that I had with myself this week. Saying, okay, if my goal is to go as fast as possible, and some decks choose to do that, and they even play Daze, how fast they go. Can we do it in multiplayer? I think 1v1, it's a feasible choice to go combo fast. But multiplayer, you might win game 1, but you're never going to win another game after that. 1v1, so imagine multiplayer. You got 3 players staring at you, saying, I know what you're able to do. You're not going to be able to do it. And they mulligan until they have their free counters and whatever else. And Jhoira's a little expensive to cast at 4. So it's a little clunky in trying to get a quick win. And improbable, I would say, in multiplayer. So I think it's a wiser choice for Jhoira to go towards the more control build. But the other thing about Jhoira is that she is limited to 2 colors. And that, I think, is a hard ceiling. It's a hard ceiling in the sense that you may not play other colors. You may not. Even though we could, we may not. And if they ever come up with a ruling on companion where you're able to, it's going to change a lot. But we already see the best decks out there. For that, I would recommend Comedian MTG. He shows us the different top fours.
Hello.
Oh my god, is that an older video, brother? I'm sorry. Where are you?
And white, you can basically
Very knowledgeable. He's going to show us different decks that are playing the events, and I recommend it. And what we're noticing through these cards list, hope he doesn't mind, is that players play good cards, whether it be a fast or a controlling deck, or even a blue farm or a janky list. They always play good cards. They don't play fast combo kind of stuff. They play good cards. So that's a tell. That's a tell that you want to be playing good cards. It'll bring you further in the late game. You'll have less dead cards. You'll be less stuck with, against stack pieces, which really gives trouble to the deck. That's what they're for. Stack pieces absolutely love to kill a combo deck. It's the best feeling in the world when you drop a stacks and it stops a player completely from storming. That's why we play Magic. And so the two here as a critique, I think, is important. I came to the realization that says, okay, look, this does not have access to the 60%, other 60% of cards that other great decks have access to. We've seen a lot of good decks top four playing 3 colors, 4 colors, and 5 colors. Najila, for example, but other 5 colors. And they utilize the best cards in the game. And let me make that very clear if you're playing Jhoira. Let's go with Najila Primer. Primer is... I don't know which one it is. Primer means it's being taken care of by a community, I believe. We can see here the best cards in the game. Of course, you're playing 5 color, right? You can choose play only the best for each color. How are you supposed to compete against that? How are you supposed to compete against the Truth, which is the name of a deck? How are you supposed to compete against Blue Farm when they play the best cards in the game? Very disrupting and protecting pieces, which we do own a Gilded Drake, by the way, and we're not playing. We'll get to that. Ragavan, I see more Ragavan, and it's creeping up in there if you haven't noticed. Ragavan is kind of the shit if you want to go fast. So yeah, we don't have access to these colors. So I find this a hard ceiling for Jhoira, which he has to accept. You just have to accept as a 2-color player, just like a monocolor player would have to accept that this choice includes limits on the construction and the abilities that you're able to display in your deck. We are limited in those abilities. And so if we are limited in those abilities, then we must ask the question, what can this deck do the best? What can these colors do best? And I think pretty quickly and automatically, we fall on a few combos, some counters magic, and we come back to that, which makes the primer, by the way, for Jhoira. Jhoira primer. So I found this community here. We'll get to Elshine in just a second. I found this community here with Washrotom, with some videos, if you probably have seen it, if you found mine, for the primer for Jhoira. And they explain their different combo lines. And quick note on combo, it is the best way to close a game compared to other normal ways. And here we have their primer. It's very similar to what we're playing. And we can see a lot of artifacts, of course, because you get such an advantage over other players for playing them in the storm fashion, right? Where you get mana and a card with Jhoira, so you can keep storming. That is the definition of storm. Give me mana, give me cards. Low land count, which I'm always a fan of. We can continue doing our shenanigans. And when I was ready to change my deck from egg to more control-y, I found this primer. And it's a good community on Discord. They'll discuss new cards and, you know, offer their ideas, but it's very control based, and that's where Jhoira shines, because she does need a lot of mana. You know, reality chip reconfigure, that's 5. Then you need to go get your Sensei's Divining Top, Trinket Mage, that's 4 mana. And then you want to be able to play it. You probably have a reducer, maybe a Dockside, Jump, Kitten. We can talk about those too. There's so much to say. Top, reduce. Where's the reduce? Here. Reducing cost of spell. And that is the main combo to draw cards. Even just Sensei with reducer, which we have many. You can keep casting this. You know, when you draw it, you draw 2 cards. So you can draw 2 cards a turn. And with this, if you have this and Sensei and enough mana, because it's not reduced, then you can draw, I don't know, 6, 7 cards with Jhoira out. And then if you have all 3, then you get to play it from the top. It costs 1 less, it's free. You play it from the top, put it back, and you can draw your whole deck, which leads you into other combos, combo cards. Codex Shredder, Wind, Words of Wind. You make infinite mana with Words of Wind and some mana crypt and stuff like that. Then you may want to jump. After you have infinite mana, you can jump Izzet Signet, Talisman, with Words of Wind. You already have infinite mana, so you can do this an infinite number of times, making an infinite number of blue, making an infinite number of red. So you have infinite colorless, infinite blue, infinite red. You can get Codex. You can jump other things with Words of Wind and with Kitten. A lot of people might not know how to play this, but Kitten jumps things when you play things. So you can jump Trinket Mage, go get an artifact, play it, trigger Kitten, jump Trinket Mage again, go get an artifact, play it, trigger Kitten, jump Trinket Mage, go get an artifact, play it. You see? You do the same thing with Words of Wind. If you have a lot of mana, you can jump Trinket Mage, keep doing that. But you can also jump other things, like Spellseeker, which I don't see here, which would go get your spells, like your Gamble, like your Tutor, like your Reshape, Transmute, Fabricate, Windfall, possibly, I don't know, Gamble. You could also go get Model of Mixture with Spellseeker, Transmute into your win cons, which could be Underworld Breach, into Gamble again, into other things. So it can snowball quick well, and they also choose to not run Tassa's Oracle. So it's like a win con less deck, whatever the word is. Because when you have Tassa's Oracle, you're stuck with it until something else happens, and this deck can just win without it, namely Brain Freeze. By brain freezing yourself first, which puts a shitload of cards in your yard, which fuels your Underworld Breach. Because that's one of the thing with this deck. You want to fuel this breach with cards. You have to come up with ways that you can drop shit in your yard. That's when Underworld Breach is powerful. And then with whichever way to get an artifact, you can get LED, which we have. LED, where are you? Up. It was at some time ago that I decided to make this deck, and was able to pick them up for a decent price. LED probably under 200. There it is. It's like heavy played or some shit. But pretty happy that I picked it up. It was only a few months ago I came back to the deck and said, this is powerful, I need this, I have this, great. So that's the idea with Jhoira. Okay, sure. Now, let's continue with the observations. So when I was watching a game being played on YouTube, I noticed a guy who was playing like the similar cards like this. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's not playing Jhoira. What is he playing? So similar. It's very similar if you look at things. And then it was Elsha. I found out it was Elsha. So I've never seen an Elsha deck before. I don't do tournaments here. There's no tournaments here. I don't travel for tournaments. I don't have actually the ability or the time or all of that together. I'm not in the loop. So Elsha plays some white, because that's the next idea. Like, which other commander kind of use the same technology but has maybe another color, which we would love to play. We'd love to play white. We'd love to play, and white especially for, I think it's Savine's Reclamation, which is a one card combo tutor, or even black. With Tassa's Oracle, we would set that up, and even more tutors. So I was like, okay, well, let's see how these guys play it. And they actually play the combos a little differently. They're very similar, but they'll use Bergie differently. And we'll come to that. They try to use Dockside also differently. Let's see, do they have anything to jump Dockside? They already do. That's the thing that I noticed when I was looking for cards to return Dockside. Marsh doesn't do that, but Chain of Vapor does. Alchemist, they play that. That does return Dockside. Yeah, so I was looking for other ways to use this Dockside that I have. Right, because right now it's just like a mana rock for me. It's a 2 that gives more. It feels a lot like what's this? What is this thing called here? A Grim Monolith. So I said no. Dockside is stronger than that. We should find ways. So we play with one of our players is playing Dockside, replay Dockside. So I said, okay, how do we get there? And Bergie also is much stronger. It can be used in different ways. So what they end up doing is So I'm not sure if they go fetch Bergie or not. I don't think there's many ways to fetch her. She costs 3, she's a 3/3. The artifact side of things can be fetched. The backside. Maybe Savine, I don't know. What do they play? They play, I think, do they play Grinding Station with her? God, I can't remember exactly. There's so many lines of play. But I find them using Lucky Them for intuition again with the Savine's Reclamation. Let me just see here if there's a play. So Bergie can be used as a reducer here, but it's you can do more than that. Anyway, we'll have to come back to it. You can make a lot of mana also with what? You want to make a lot of mana for rolling Earthquake, which I found interesting. But first you need to heal yourself so that you have a higher life total, and then you can cast a lethal rolling Earthquake. You know, and I thought, well, that's pretty simple. Just make a lot of mana, throw it. It's already something we do, right? But it's not a card we see in Jhoira, you know? But it's not missing much. I just need to gain life. And it happens that Elixir of Immortality could be used, and I saw a combo, which I can't find again in all my tabs. We're gonna look for it. Where you can loop Elixir of Immortality somehow from exile, I think. I don't know. Or from the deck. And gain life. Infinite life, actually. We can do that. But then with rolling Earthquake, we would be able to have more life. Make sure we have more life and then offer lethal to all players. I thought that was great. And the thing about rolling Earthquake is that it can wipe the board. So we see players playing some spells like that, where they like to wipe the board, but they don't necessarily have a card that, it could be a dead card, say late game. Whereas rolling Earthquake late game is actually a game ender. So I like that. It's a lot of versatility, a board wipe and a game ender. Big fan. We see a lot of players playing Rite of Flame as well. It might be right in a non-Jhoira deck. But in the Jhoira, I don't know if this is what we need or we want. The Fateless Looting also, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. They don't necessarily have many ways to draw additional cards. Like with Jhoira, we have those ways. But we're gonna try them. And I'm ending up removing, like I mentioned earlier, the more mid-range pieces in the form of Gilded Drake, which I think is much more of a mid-range piece. It's a very strong card, but I think it's mid-range. Same with Phyrexian Metamorph. We don't necessarily need to copy much here. Metal Worker, very strong, but also feels kind of mid-rangey. If you get it later, you don't want it to be a dead card, right? So it's not going to be a dead card if you're more mid-rangey. So I think I'm going to cut it and go for speed instead. And a Braid also is going to go because we have other things to bounce stuff. So it's meant to destroy artifacts or hurt a creature. But we already have, what is it called here? The Resculpt. And we have stuff to bounce, permanence. I think we have enough of those. We might add those as well. So a Braid is gonna go, I'm sure. And we're going to put some other quicker stuff. And we're gonna try these 3 slots. We have Chromatic Star, we're gonna keep trying. Fateless Looting, which is on the screen, which is the card I have. And Trail of Possibility, which is not here. again, to help us fuel the graveyard, right? Coming back to the Underworld Breach line, where I noticed that sometimes we just don't have quite enough cards to breach easily. We have to like think stuff through again, and there's no need when you combo. So Trail of Possibility, by discarding a card and itself goes in the graveyard, you will draw 2 cards. So I think that's a good start. Fateless Looting also. 1 card in the yard, discard 2 cards, that's 3 cards in the yard. We're also going to put back Emery, which is over here. Emery also can be played, you know, turn 1 even. And because it's reduced, and then she gives you access to your yard in case an artifact is in the yard, like the top, like Mystic Forge, Reality Chip, a reducer, or a she also puts cards in the yard, 4 cards, right? So for Underworld Breach, and she can return an artifact from there for nothing. So kind of useful for all over. So we're gonna play her, and it's a legendary creature, and it triggers Jhoira because it's historic. Same with Ragavan. Ragavan is also legendary, triggers Jhoira. I do think it goes in the deck. And we're gonna try these 3. So I can't wait to try these 2 for sure. This one we know it works, but the idea is that should we go instead for this? Should we go for mana? Should we go for something else? And the thing is, a lot of players won't play the Chromatic Star and Sphere because it's more control now, right? It's less about combo-y Jhoira. It's more about control, assembling a combo in the form of Sensei in the Underworld. In the game, Jhoira was not used for those combos. It's not needed. And so less dependency on Jhoira is good. And which makes that the artifacts that we normally have to fill for Storm are not necessarily required. And so this could go. I like the idea that it's an artifact. It could be returned by Emery from the yard with Jhoira. Just a lot of value. It can be fetched. It could possibly be looped in a combo as well. And so I think it's still useful to have an artifact like that you can sack that says draw a card, so that if you have infinite mana and you're able to loop it, you could keep drawing if your Sensei is gone or exiled, but we know there's ways to do that. So I think that's useful. In terms of bounce and card draw, just gonna profit show here. We're playing Displacement Wave, which is fantastic when you cast it. You get to choose if you want to bring just the 0s, the 1s, possibly the 2s, but you're not gonna bring back the trees, and it's all permanents. So it's the other players as well, but you don't necessarily want to bring back your 3s or your 4s like Mystic Forge. You might not want to bring back Reality Chip, so that's, in that sense, you don't choose to. And even when you have reducers, right, which are over here, even when you have reducers, you can choose X as you cast it to be what you want it to be. So even if you have a reducer, X doesn't have to be 1. It may be 0. It's your choice as you cast it. So you can cast this for blue, X is 0. Then you have to pay the cost, which this does not reduce. If it's 0 already, pay the cost and you bring back the 0s. And if it's 1 and you have a reducer, that's fantastic. You mostly want to bring back the 1s because you already have a reducer and you can play back the 1s for 0. So, and it's working better than Retract and Recall in that sense, because you don't want to bring back all that stuff. Like, imagine you pick this up and you just reconfigured your reality chip, right? And it says you may play lands and cast spells, and this is on top of your library or in your hand, or you have both of them in your hand, then this is going to be much better suited than retract, even though it just costs one. So I'm going to play this instead. Just, it's much more potent, I find. And it returns other player stuff too. Tokens, all kinds of stuff. Dragon Rage, Paradoxical Outcome, it's played. It's the best. It gives you even more. Now that we combo less, we get to choose the cards we want to bring with it. Even better, just because will is what we do. Assistant is good enough, in my opinion, just to filter the lands out or look for something. You could be looking for a tutor. You could be looking for a card draw, a counter. It will help you find it. Mystic Remora, Rhystic Study. Riddlesmith makes the cut because he draws first, then discard after, as opposed to his sibling, which discards first. The wheel effects are fine as well. We don't necessarily need more, I think, but having such a low curve, we get to profit, and players get to lose their hands. So these are all card draw spells in my book with Jhoira. So these are lesser card draw spells. We make about, 15 or so? 12, 15, which is a decent number. Reducers, I play with 4. It's hard to play with less. There's also Burgi, which is a reducer. And for the counters, we're about 12, 13. It's just difficult to put more efficient counters. But we don't forget that we draw a lot in this deck. So it kind of replenishes the missing probability factor that someone might notice. If someone says, no, I play with 15 counters, nothing less, remember you draw with Jhoira, and you draw with your main combo, and you get to play back your spells from your yard. So, you know, it can fill that missing probability. What else is there to say? We're going to choose to play some of the strongest pieces as well that we might be debating on, but that any other cEDH players just don't debate, like Mystical Tutor. We debate if it's good enough, etc. Players just play it. Simian Spirit Guide, I don't see it here, I think, but again, a lot of players play that, so why are we debating that? Until we are really pissed off at these cards, then we'll remove them. A lot of players playing Marsh of the Swirling Mist, so we have to look at that. I'm deciding to play Dress Down as well, because it interacts with things that don't normally are interacted with. Whether it be a stacks piece, it has flash. You can cast it before your turn. So if you're staxed by creatures, you cast this before your turn. You get to untap all your stuff and do your shenanigans. Grand Abolisher, if somebody thinks they're gonna win with Grand Abolisher, you cast this, and you get to counter whatever else. You already have counters. Other players may, so it should end that player's game who's playing Grand Abolisher, or what's his name, Captain Ranger of Eos. No, he's actually better. You can sacrifice it to give yourself an ability for the whole turn. Pretty strong stuff. Burgi's Other Side as well is quite useful. You know, more than we maybe play it. Not only is it an artifact triggering Jhoira, but you get to discard a card, exile the top 2 cards. So with top and that and a reducer, you discard something if it's on top, of your library, you exile 2 things, so this and something else. You get to play them. It's reduced by 1, so when you play it, you draw a card. You tap it, draw a card, put it back. You discard a card, exile 2 cards. You get to play those, play it again, draw a card, tap, draw a card, put it back, discard a card, repeat. You get my point, huh? So, Arnfell can help you churn through the deck. So pretty strong. Again, just more combos that are initially in the deck is really what we're looking for. After a while, you know that you can use Darkside better than you're using it now, right? Some players will play Darkside, kill Darkside, replay Darkside with Underworld Breach or something else, right? Which makes more treasure. Kill Darkside again somehow by sacrificing it, replaying it, maybe bouncing it, right? We have Chain of Vapor to bounce. This thing these guys play to bounce. What else? Cyclonic Rift, no. Snap, they play as well. You can do that too to bounce. Anything that bounces will work. And then if you have Breach, you get to play your bounce spells again. You get to keep making mana with Darkside. So you could have like 3, 4, 5 mana, throw in the Darkside, make a lot of mana. A Grinding Station I played and I didn't like it. But we know it's a combo in Modern with Underworld Breach. One of the main combos, actually. The issue I had was you tap to sack an artifact. Could be it or mostly something else. You mill 3 cards, your own cards. And then if you play an artifact again, it untaps this and you get to do it again. But in order to play an artifact again from your yard, probably the one you just sacked, then you have to exile those 3 cards that it gave you with Underworld Breach. So you see my point, like it's putting 3 cards in the yard and the artifact. You need those 3 cards exiled to play the artifact again. So what do you end up doing? You end up just having a lot of casting triggers, storm triggers, but your yard isn't getting fuller. Your exile is getting bigger. And you want your yard to get bigger with Breach, which we would hope that this is for. Like if this said discard mill 5 card, then this would be tremendous. And if it said mill 2 cards, then it's even worse. But at 3, it's just like equal. So I ended up removing it because I didn't quite get it. I didn't quite get how I'm supposed to do anything. I mean, the idea is that if you have like, I don't know, 4 cards in your yard when this is ready, you keep milling yourself till you find, you can find many things, but I'm just going to give you an example with Brain Freeze. Right, so Brain Freeze comes in the yard. Then before you exile 3 cards, you make sure it's not Brain Freeze. You take from the cards. Or even if you just have 1 card in your yard, you exile 3 other cards to play Brain Freeze. Right, this is not in use anymore. Probably tapped. You exile 3 card, brain freeze yourself with a high storm count because of this shenanigan. And then you fuel your Underworld Breach correctly by having 18 more cards. And the thing about milling yourself with Breach is that all those cards in your yard are like if they're in your hand. So you don't care to LED your whole hand with Underworld Breach. You don't care. Because those cards you can use anyways. As long as you have a pile of cards in your yard, you get to play them anyways. Yeah, you'll play them anyways. But you need that pile of card in your yard. So that's what I'm still working on to make sure that Breach can be, unstoppable. Because if you don't have enough cards in your yard, this stuff stops. But with Grinding Station, it can make it so that you reach Brain Freeze and then you're good. So I think it's good enough of a card to be included. Most artifacts that do something and as a combo piece, should be included, right? Codex Shredder, same thing. When with Words of Wind, you bounce your mana, boop, 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 infinite. Then you end up drawing somehow, or searching, or it's complex. It's not that complicated. Just there's so many. I'm lacking practice, but you can find Codex Shredder, or if you have Codex Shredder, then you start doing this instead and tap to target player mills a card. So by doing this infinitely, you get to mill people with this as well. So this doesn't do anything by itself unless you have the Words of Wind, or possibly the kitten, possibly. And then you get to mill players. But it only costs 1, which would be the perfect price. And it's an artifact, and it replaces itself with Jhoira. And that's fine. That's good enough. So that's why we see a few artifact pieces that, at first sight don't mean anything. These are actually win cons paired with the right tools. But by themselves, they're either irrelevant because they draw with Jhoira, or they're good. And that's all that we get to play in this deck. I don't think we get to play spells necessarily that are not good by themselves for the whole game, like Tassa's Oracle. It's not supported enough, in my opinion, or needed enough to warrant its spot. Because when you have it in this deck, at least, you still need to draw your whole deck with top, wherever it is. You still need to breach to possibly mill yourself completely. And then you Tassa's Oracle, but you could have just did something else with your whole deck with top, or milled someone else. There's no need for Tassa's Oracle with these lines of play. And for a lot of other lines of play, Tassa is not needed. So it just happens to be a dead card, and it feels like a dead card as well. Because when you have it, you're not like, wow, I have the game. No, not in this deck. Because we don't play black. We can't get a quick game-ending combo. We have to work for it. A little bit the same with Twin Flame, Dual Caster, Mage. But I feel a little different. So I tested this because, so Dual Caster, if you don't know, enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery. You may choose new target, and it's not a you may. And then Twin Cast. Twin Flame. Twin Flame. For 2, choose any number of target creatures you control. Create a token that's a copy. So Twin Flame and Caster Mage, Dual Caster Mage. You have Dual Caster, you cast, which resolves, which doesn't do anything, no trigger. Cast Twin Flame, right? Targets the Dual Caster. You make a copy of Dual Caster, sure. Make another copy. Let me think. Oh no, my bad. You cast Twin Flame. Dual Caster. No. My goodness. It enters the battlefield. It has flash, copy target instant sorcery. Okay, so you cast Twin Flame on anything to copy anything, and then you keep priority and cast Dual Caster Mage. Dual Caster resolves first, entering. When it enters, it copies the Twin Flame that is targeting something else. So it makes a copy of the original Twin Flame. Okay, sure. The original Twin Flame, or the original Twin Flame still on the stack, hasn't resolved yet. The copy of Twin Flame by Dual Caster will then target Dual Caster. And so it will make a copy of Dual Caster. So that resolve, make a copy of Dual Caster. As it enters, it looks at the original Twin Flame, which targets something else. And it says, I'm going to make a copy of Twin Flame. Twin Flame goes on the stack. It targets the Dual Caster again. And that resolves, so it makes another Dual Caster, which says, hey, I'm going to target the original Twin Flame that targets something else. Okay, make another Twin Flame. Twin Flame says, I'm going to copy Dual Caster Mage. Okay, resolve, making a copy. And you get to make infinite Dual Caster Mage. Do they have Haste? I think so. That's what's so strong. It has Haste. So the copies all have Haste. So an infinite number of 2/2s that swings. It's actually one of the very popular combos in cEDH. And it closes the game. The issue is that you need both of them. And without the other, what do you do? Like, what do you do with the twin cast, or what do you do with the Dual Caster Mage? What do you want to copy? You're not copying this because you're transmuting. You're probably not copying the transmute, but you could. I don't think you can copy reshape though. I don't think it's going to work well. You could copy Brain Freeze, but you can also play Brain Freeze from your yard. You could copy Mystical Tutor, but the first copy will get a card, and then you have to get another card and like shuffle before, so that's gone. You could copy. Oh wait, you could copy your counters. Oh, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Dual Caster Mage on field, you counter, it makes a copy of the counter, and you counter twice. That sounds pretty good. Okay, well, fine, but is that the only thing it does? What about Twin Flame? If you have Twin Flame by itself, what are you gonna copy? You can't copy Jhoira, she's legendary. You could copy the Reducer, but I don't know if there's a point to that. We did remove Phyrexian Metamorph after all, but which is a good card to keep. Could copy Grinding Station, but it's doing the same thing. Oh no, a creature, correct, creature. We could copy this guy. He's gonna give us a, something. Can't copy Emery, she's legendary. Can't copy Reality Chip, it's legendary. Copy Recruiter, get something. Copy the cat, I don't know what happens. Copy Dockside, oh that's pretty good. Copy Dockside. But yeah, there's not many targets, right, for Twin Flame. But not fantastic. And it's any creature you control, so it can't be their creatures. If it had that kind of versatility, then maybe. But I think nonetheless, it may just make the cut. That combo may just make the cut because of the interactions. For example, Displacer Kitten. So yeah, so I get it wrong, right? I got it wrong. So Dualcaster Mage doesn't copy your counters when you play it. It's when it enters the battlefield. It only triggers once when you flash Dualcaster Mage. But what if you had the Kitten? And the Kitten, when you cast your spell, triggers, bounce Dualcaster Mage, comes back, copy the spell. Then your Kitten Dualcaster Mage makes your spell almost uncounterable, which is pretty fantastic. But it can only do instants and sorceries. Okay. Well, I mean, that's interesting still. So yeah, I think we're gonna try maybe Dualcaster, but we can already tell it feels a lot closer to Tassa's Oracle as dead cards in your hand. You know, they really can't just be pushed out there and have an impact, unlike most of the other cards. We do have some cards that we want to keep in hand, until we're ready. This, that, and even having two of them in the hand is kind of hindering, right? But we can't have many more, I would say that. Then it becomes a problem. So that's pretty much the deck. The artifacts the same. We played the 3 rocks and the Mind Stone. But we don't try to play too many artifacts to capitalize on artifact. That's not really the goal. Capitalize on Jhoira. Jhoira's there. It's useful. It's support. But we're gonna go for these combo cards. A lot of control. A lot of card draw. Try to fuel the yard. And that's where we're at. We're gonna play, instead of these, we're gonna play Ragavan. We're gonna play, let me see what else. Possibly Elixir of Immortality or Relic of Progenitus. Combo. So we can draw cards with it as well to back up the top, which, because the top is often the one that gets countered or exiled or anything. And we're probably going to play Red Elemental Blast because it handles Mystic Rhystic Study and Mystic Remora really well at 1. So I like that a lot. My brain currently is also going at Snapcaster Mage with the cat, because the cat is better than we thought. The cat can bounce anytime you play something, which we can do a lot of. We can do a lot of that. We can play many things, right? So the cat can bounce a lot of good things that we like to bounce. It can bounce Dockside. It can bounce Grinding Station if we want to untap it. And we get an extra untap because the way it's worded. If we have a lot of artifacts that we've previously played that we can't replay to untap Grinding Station, Kitten can untap Grinding Station to destroy these artifacts and prepare for Underworld Breach. The Kitten can also jump Experimental Synthesizer which gives us access to more free stuff. It can jump the Spell Seeker. It can jump the Trinket Mage. It can jump the Imperial Recruiter. And by the way, Kitten Imperial Recruiter, is that nuts or what? If you can keep playing your artifacts and you jump Recruiter, gets Trinket Mage, gets your combo, keeps ability to cast Top, to trigger Kitten, to jump Recruiter, to get Spell Seeker. Spell Seeker gets Muddle the Mixture and the tutors, Gamble and those. This gets your combos, and you get probably infinite card, infinite mana. So Kitten is a card. It's a card. It also jumps Jhoira in case it's being attacked. So if Jhoira is being targeted by something with Kitten on board, you can just play something, possibly, and then it would jump Jhoira, which would make it a new instance, which is not a legal target of the spell anymore. Same with your Mystic Remora Rhystic Study, because it says non-land. So if they target it and you get to play something instant speed, that's great, which is probably where Elsha shines, right? Because with Elsha, you can cast non-creature spell from the top of your library, like your Sensei's Divining Top, and you may cast it as though it had flash. So if you have the Kitten is even stronger in Elsha, because you just look, if it's an artifact, you play it, protecting again any these two from destruction, because it bounces them, right? And then they come back, and the spell on the stack was targeting something that doesn't exist anymore. This is a new thing. So that spell fizzles. And there's ways to like play Burgi, return Burgi, transform Burgi, do that shenanigan. Yeah. So I think there's fascinating ways to use the cards that we already have, maybe add a few, but just a few that really go well with what the deck is trying to do, and other cards. Yeah, to keep doing good. So I like it. I'm gonna keep looking for other decks that play blue, red, and those win cons to see what else they're playing and how they're playing it, because we're getting surprised by just what kind of combo lines they're coming up with. You know, I think they're comboing with Rite of Flame. God damn it! I think I like Rolling Earthquake a lot, and I should be able to make it happen. Imagine you put Rolling Earthquake, which can destroy the board. You can also put Elixir of Immortality, which can get you infinite life, which is not really worth it. But then with Rolling Earthquake, it's worth it. It's a different line of play. With two artifacts or two cards, right? Rolling Earthquake and Elixir of Immortality that we could care less about, but it goes well in the deck. Together it can make a combo. If one line of play is out, we can play this. So I like that. And these are versatile cards as well. Although I'm not a fan of cards that exile my graveyard. So we're gonna see. But I mean, shit happens to Underworld Breach, frankly. And then we don't care, right? Okay, so just a quick thought. Might go for Intuition. Might go for an Intuition. You never know at which point we're gonna get another color somehow, or a different commander that does similar things with more colors. You know, where we get access to more cards to Intuition for, like Savine's Reclamation. By the way, $1.40 for Savine's Reclamation. Just gonna look at a few cards here that I think are incredible. I don't know what this is, but this is sick. Snapback free. Expressive iteration banned in Legacy, so I'm looking at that as well. Because what it does is it puts a card in your hand. It exiles another card that you can play. Like you can exile, I don't know, this thing, you know, or that. You just play that because it's 0 anyways. And then it puts one at the bottom, which, you know, we could use later. I would prefer if it would put it in the yard, though. Then I would be completely sold on expressive iteration. That's why I'm looking at Consider, which does put, it's just a cantrip, but it helps fuel the yard. And we do have time to play cantrips. I'm looking at combos. The website isn't quite able to find all the combos, which I find unfortunate. With cEDH Rec, there are combos with Relic of Progenitus. Give them to me, please. People are playing Repeal in our deck. Rolling Earthquake, great way to end the game. It's 270 because it's foil and curled. This one is $4 because it's up to date and easier to read. And the old one is $100 because it's old and rare. But I like the From the Vault. I'll uncurl them myself. I got this. So big fan that it's below $3 here. Trail of Possibilities. This is a great art. We already have the card. We're looking at other cards again. Using our various methods and techniques. Frames from the Real big card for combo. Could return Dockside. Used to return other. No, not Dockside. So tap, untap. Anyway, combo-ish. It's a safe price, I think. Probably gonna pick it up. It's a big card. Burning Inquiry can be played with Burgi, right? Infinitely. And Underworld Breach, you will keep putting cards in the yard. It's free, right? It's unlike the Grinding Station, which takes them out in order to continue every time. The Burning Inquiry makes sure that everybody puts it in the yard. And unlike other players, I have access to my yard when I do that. So even if we wheel infinitely, they do have counters in hand, but they just have their hand. I have my yard and my hand. So I think it's safe, actually, more than I thought, to LED on wheel. Because the idea was like, okay, well, look, you're going to discard your hand, they're going to discard their hand, you're all going to draw a hand, they're probably going to have a counter, you know, and that's like 3 players v1. How are you going to try to wheel again or lion's eye again if you can't fight that counter war, you know? And what if they do counter? Now what? Underworld Breach needs 3 more cards to exile LED again. Do you have all those cards in your yard? I mean, if not, you're stuck. Yeah, but the idea is that you have access to your yard. So you may have more counters than they do. But if it's counter heavy, and when you make that line of play here, then you may want to fuel that yard a little more. So so even if they counter it, you are able to replay them. Just being able to fuel that yard first. Okay, continuing. It's a cheap card, $12 foil. It's a straight card. You know, it's a serious card. You get a foil here, $2. Careful Study. I like it when blue. A lot of people like it. $48 for the old one, old foil. Not on the reserve list. Never been reprinted. Just $2. Feels more like a dredge kind of play. You know, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. But we do want to fuel that yard. Like, we want to play Underworld Breach, am I right? So, like, we need to get to it. High Tide, again, $2. It's just such a strong card for a blue heavy deck. Infernal Plunge is interesting. 1 red for a Dark Ritual in red. You have to sack a creature, but what happens if you sack Darkside? Then you get to play it again with Underworld Breach. You get the mana for it. And then can you play back the Infernal Plunge with Underworld Breach sacking against the Darkside? Right? You see what I mean? Play Darkside, sack it again with Infernal Plunge. Play them both from the yard with Breach. Yeah. Again, you just need more cards in the yard. So interesting card at 20 cents, $15 for a foil. Like, you know that it's a useful card. It is a good card in the right deck. Does Corvold play red? Is Corvold red? Marsh is still really low cost, even a full art. A lot of players don't leave home without it. Great price. Rite of Flame, you can get everybody plays that shit, so, I mean, it's Cold Snap. What does it say? 2006? That's almost 20 years ago. $1.50, a foil is 40. Various cards. Rite of Flame, if you like it. Get a full art foil, whatever. The foil of this must look pretty sick. And you know they're gonna print it again because players play it now. Players play this. Look, it's right here. It's right here. Players play that. Right? $2. So yeah, I'm looking at some cards. Oh, I've got my other favorites. Search of Glory. It's a good tutor. You can go get a legendary land if you want. A legendary, all kinds of legendary cards. Some snow cards, some lands also. Pretty good stuff. Kazilex is interesting. Dress Down is still somewhat cheap. A good spell. So that's sorcery. We're looking at Urza, pretty low price, $20. Pretty happy with that. I mean, players who are playing Urza already have their Urza. So this one is 21. And this one is Time Shift, $60. The other one. So that's intriguing. Urza is the outlet for our mana. Once we have we can get infinite mana, no problem. And you could do this here, it just have a lot of value. I just find it a little more mid-rangey, which the deck could definitely go for. I will see where the meta goes. This is the forest that I'm looking to buy. What? 65? 65? No, 77. Okay. Just keep going down. I like this. 72. Big fan of this force and big fan of not these tutors. These are fine, but they're not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the old border. Some people might consider them abominations. These just got printed like this. They don't look like, you have to notice that, like, this is not an official. So unfortunately, this is the official image that Wizard is providing, which is very grainy and like electronic-y, because it's not a great picture. It's not a picture at all. It's just, anyway, fucking, I don't know what they're doing. But this looks better in person. But I like the old frame. I think it would stand out in your hand. a lot, having the old frame. And the thing about the old frame is that it's old and wise magic, so I think it would stand out a lot in the hand. And you would know when you have a tutor. 35. Ooh, boy. I want a foil though. So yeah. We're looking at different ways to throw shit in the graveyard. I don't think we want to discard our hand and draw that many cards. I don't think we want to do that. Or I think we don't want to do that. Any other cards? Yes, no, yes, no. No, these are too old. Okay, that's it. You guys have a good one.